Hello, welcome back to 26 Minutes with the Deeper Dive version. We're with our guest, Pam Rossi. She's a big career in broadcasting out of the Detroit area, now does Audible, book narrations, voiceover work. And we're talking about changing careers and, being okay with change, being adaptable, what it takes to also do something new and what steps you need to take in order to do that. And we've also been talking about finding our voice, and as we move forward with our deeper dive segment, I want to talk a bit more about finding your voice, but I really want to dive into those of us who are over 50 and who are being really forced to change in work and careers and what they're doing. But first, just to wrap up on finding your voice, we have listeners that want to use their voice in their work that they do. And I don't know about you, but I've been seeing a huge trend in that. Whether they wanted, well, for you it was narrating books, getting into public speaking, but in day-to-day work, you have to have your voice to speak, to communicate. I don't know if you've noticed this too in the business world. A lot of people are wanting to become public speakers, and
Yes.
they go to speaker slams, they want to tell their story, they want to inspire other people. Did when you found your voice, did it come naturally to you, do you feel? Or did you join a Toastmasters group at any point in time to hone your skills? Like, how did how easy was it for you to find your voice?
That's interesting. Now that I'm thinking about it, how did that happen? Because I grew up in a family of seven girls,
Oh
no
boy.
brothers, seven girls.
Yeah, and you
So
gotta get your attention, right? Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I'm second oldest, so it was a little easier than the younger ones, it seemed like, but and I don't really want to go off on a tangent here, but I dealt with some childhood traumas that made me be quiet a lot more than normal. Just I kind of became introvert, which is interesting that I went into broadcasting
Mm.
because I just because of the situations that I was in, I just shut down a lot. So no one's I've never had that asked about to me about that, because which makes it interesting now, because um I have to really think, well, how did I find that voice? And I think when I had a microphone in front of me, I was not that abused child or that other things that happened. I was in a whole different world. And I don't know if listeners can connect with that or understand that, but um, it was just me in a studio and a microphone. And even though thousands and thousands of people were listening, I didn't, I was in my own little bubble. And hopefully this makes sense, but it was a whole different world. And it was like, I was able to open up with that microphone. The microphone was magic to me. And especially when I heard things back, it's like, wow, that was me. And this is the very early days of radio that, then you just kind of like, wow, that was cool. I mean, I could be me on the air, and, not dealing with, six siblings, at one time, or, the things, the crap in the back of my head. And so that's, I think, how I found my voice. I was in a whole different world when a microphone was in front of me, and it just grew from there.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, those things, were gone after, a while, but to get started, that's where it clicked.
And I think if we're in that zone and we're doing really what we are passionate about and what we're gifted to do, I think we get into that headspace. An
Mhm.
artist will shut out all the distractions to paint the picture or do the sculpting. A musician will be in studio,
Yeah.
practicing, right? So
Yes.
I think that that's really important, and I'm glad you actually said that, because I felt that way also too on air, but I also felt it when I taught. So I could give you like 101 reasons why because I have a teaching and learning and coaching practice too. Um, and I could give you like a dozen reasons, or why I shouldn't be teaching, or what am I doing teaching. But the
Hmm.
minute I went into the class to teach, it was showtime. I had to deliver, and I had to shut out all that other distractions, the noise, the negative voice inside, right? The fear.
Yes, absolutely.
So I guess one last, I guess, career or change tip is to really do something that you are passionate about, so that you can lose yourself in that work.
And for in my instance, I didn't know I was passionate about it until I tried it. That's
Yes.
the other thing. I had no clue, no inkling that that's what I would do. Someone asked a while ago, it's like, which if you could go back when you were young, you said you wanted to do this for a living when you grow up. I had no inkling of being a broadcaster or, being in front of people or, reading books out loud. I had no inkling of any of that until I tried it. And it just kind of, I took, as we said earlier, I just took a plunge with I took that one course in high school. Or, when my friend said, "Hey, I need a female voice," I didn't shudder back and go, "Oh, I could never do that." I just like, all right, let's try it. I think that's part of it, where you can find your voice. It's like if you don't try it, you'll never know. You
Right.
might find something new about what you can or you know really do and be good at. You never know.
Yes, and you said yes to life.
Yes,
What if you said no? Right?
there's sure things would be way different than they are today.
For sure. We're with Pam Rossi. We're continuing with the deeper dive portion of 26 Minutes With. I want to also talk to you about guiding those of us who are over 50 to believe in themselves and find their legacy careers. Um, and it, so this is kind of similar to where we started our 26 Minutes With discussion today. Many of us at 50 are having to recreate ourselves. And we talked about how you recreated yourself after, job loss in the broadcast industry. Many of us have to recreate ourselves work-wise, and you did that as well. What were some of the barriers maybe that you faced, or the fears that you faced before you took the leap into this, into the narration and the voiceover work? What were some of the barriers or fears you had to overcome?
There were a few. Well, one thing was, uh, let's see, probably about 10 years ago, uh, I was found myself in a divorce. And so I found that, okay, it's up to me again. I can't rely on someone else to do any, help me or any of those things. So sometimes you just get pushed into what you have to do, without thinking or, what the barrier was. It was all up to me. That was the huge thing that I kind of got pushed into. So I learned that, okay, that's when it's up to me. If it's going to be, it's up to me because it's only me. And so I had to get past the barriers of how am I going to do this, or how does this work, and where do I go from here? And again, trial and error. You have no choice a lot of times, just do it. When the audiobooks, when I started thinking about doing audiobooks, the barrier was, okay, and we touched on that, the fact that technical things are a challenge for me. I had two girls that would like, hey, can you fix this, or my computer's doing this, or my phone's doing this, and they would fix it. Well, no longer, they're grown and gone, and so it's up to me for those things. So the technical end of it with the audiobooks was, okay, how am I going to do this? How do I learn? And I took courses to learn those things. So I mean, nowadays you can go on YouTube and learn anything and everything. Thank goodness for YouTube. And so many, the knowledge business has just grown, it just exploded over the last, 5, 6, 10 years. And so you can always find courses out there to do things. And so you learn it. Okay, if I need to learn this, I need to learn this to move forward. And so the barrier was trust that I can figure this out. Trust is a huge thing. I can do this. It's all me. And so I've trusted myself, and I went and learned how to do those things so I can get past that barrier. So I know how to do it, and then now teach others to do it.
Yes. Do you feel success can happen at any age? Like, do you see the age being a barrier at all, or
Yeah.
doesn't matter?
No, I'll even say it on this podcast. I'm going to be 66 here in a few months.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
yeah,
Those
so
that don't have a visual, Pam does not look it.
thank you, Dave.
Wow.
Good genes in the family, good
Yeah.
genes. But yeah, so people are talking about retiring and all that. It's like I really am not thinking that at all. The age just doesn't really factor into what I'm doing or not doing. So especially that I'm able to do what I'm doing with voiceover and stuff, working from home. So it's not like I'm going to a 9 to 5. If I had a 9 to 5, I'm sure that would be a little different. But I chose it to do this, so I have, my time is my time, and I can do the books on my time and the voiceovers. I mean, yeah, someone, a client says, I need this by tomorrow. Yeah, so that's one thing. But generally, I don't have to worry about a boss and trying to figure out what they need, and have to punch in every morning. So that's a blessing, and I chose that so that I can have my free time and do as I please. So the age has nothing to do with it, because I'm still, I've still got the energy, I still have the drive, and the numbers mean nothing. But so it's just a number. It is just a number is the way I'm looking at it. I don't, there's no reason for me to quit because of my age. As long as my voice holds out, which is the other thing, because unfortunately it's a time for money, which is why I put the course together. So it's on demand, and, I don't have to stop to teach it. It's on demand of the different modules. As long as I have those types of things, there's no reason to stop. So, I get all those things going, and then I can do other things like write the books that I'm writing right now, and all of those. So forget the number. That's the bottom line. Forget the number. If you feel like you can still keep it going and still have the energy to do it, and then do it. Just
Yeah.
do it.
What are you doing now, differently now, that maybe 25-year-old Pam Rossi wouldn't have done?
Oh boy. Uh,
Well, you're not
well,
flirting with anybody at the office right now, right?
no. No, there would be things I would take a different road. The fork in the road, I would have taken the other side for sure. But that's all part of the learning process, and how I've become who I am. Sometimes you need those things to make your life better. I mean, we all need to fail to learn, right, and to grow. But as far as, oh gosh,
Are you more
as
efficient now? Are you,
I,
more open to learning now to fast track your career and your work?
well, I'm more willing to learn new things. I mean, I've always liked to learn, I've always loved being educated and, gathering new stuff. But now it's more, yeah, if I would have learned certain things when I was younger, I would have been way ahead now, but I can't think, oh, I wish I would have done that, for example. Um, just you can't go there. I can't go there. Just why it's a past. I can't change it.
No.
Just, but I can take those things that I didn't do then and say, okay, well, I still can do it now. I can learn again, YouTube's and all the different online places to learn. If I want to learn something, or want to do something, I can. that's the beauty of where we are today. Because also back when I was 25, the internet was nothing. I mean, there
What?
wasn't.
Yeah.
And we always laugh at, like, how did we do this on air, to without looking up something quickly on the computer thing. I mean, I literally remember carrying reference books to
Yeah.
work, some music reference books, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Magazines, things like that you'd have, or yeah, you're right. We had to, yeah, it's just times are different, but you have to kind of change with the times. Like if you were a bookkeeper back in the 70s, you used an adding machine with the
Oh yeah.
right, and now it's software, right, and now it's
Yes.
you know accounting software packages. So it's like the same work, but it's just technology's sort of changed it, right? So
Technology has changed a lot, and yeah, embrace it. That's what, at this point, it's just like, okay, yes, it's hard for me
yeah,
a little bit, but embrace it. You have to
yeah.
embrace it.
And I find for those over 50, they're really afraid of it. And it's like, no, just embrace it. It's actually could be, it's fun, it's a learning. Look at it as a challenge, right? Like if,
Yeah. I think about my mother, who just turned 93, bless her heart.
or yeah,
And she's on the computer and she's got a smartphone. And it's like, okay, there's no excuse. you know, and uh and then of course, my kids, they're grown adults now, and they grew up with computers and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, there's no excuse not to learn this, and just embrace it. And you can always ask for help. That's the
yeah,
thing. Don't forget, you can always ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Which I did. I learned, had to learn how to do things, so I asked for help if I didn't understand it. And I still ask my kids or my granddaughter for help. So don't be afraid to do that.
yeah,
No one's judging.
yeah, yeah. There's no we can't know everything, right? So
Right.
we have our
Right.
specialties. Yeah.
For
Um,
sure.
we have we're almost done here. We have a commercial talking about radio, on radio right now in the GTA. Probably it might be a national campaign actually, and it's about ageism from an
Mhm.
over 50-year-old point of view, where they're talking about, yeah, like just because I'm older, don't think I don't, drive a motorcycle, or I'm not up with technology, or I don't have social media, or I don't, I'm not hip. Um, so that's the point of the commercial. So it's, and often employers overlook us and feel that because we are over 50 that we're not up to date. What would you say to that? Somebody who is experiencing ageism, maybe in a career? Yeah, like, because like, and even ageism in our business too. I think, I get a little bit, where some clients want something else other than what I bring to the table.
Yeah, it's a shame because our generation, we've got the experience. The younger ones don't have the experience that we have. And so it's a shame when corporations, companies don't take advantage of that. And yes, the younger generation have new ideas and new ways to do things, but we still have brains. We can still function and come up with some fabulous ideas and be part of a team. I think they just need to realize that the diversity of all age groups make a better team whenever you look at what kind of employers you want. So don't leave us, don't think that the older generation have nothing to offer, because that is not true. We have a ton to offer, and more people are, we're living longer, so you can't even really look at that number anymore, just because of how much healthier we are now, and living longer and have so much to give. So
Yeah. Your mom
it's
just
just,
being alive at 93, to me, that's inspiring. Just that alone is inspiring.
yes,
Yeah.
she's still got it all upstairs, and she's
God.
you know very healthy. It's just amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
So just, don't, so what you're saying is like just don't accept that as a barrier. Um, because I agree, like we still have a lot to offer. We have our wisdom. We can teach millennials to communicate and to, discuss. And I think culturally, here in North America, we kind of discard the over 50 set.
Mhm.
And it's like that's such a waste because there's so much
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
experience.
I love this saying. You probably have heard it, but they always say, and I'm butchering this saying, I'm sure, but it's got to do with the graveyard, how much knowledge and things got buried with everybody in the graves, that it's a shame that they didn't share what they knew and what they loved to do before they were buried. And so and that kind of stuck with me. It was like, okay, when and I think I touched on this earlier, was when I'm dead and gone, what is my legacy? And that's why I've got the two books that I'm writing now. It's like, why just hold this in? Just do it, so it doesn't matter how old I am. I still have this in me that needs to be shared, and I don't want to just keep it inside of me. So that's go for it.
Yeah, I agree. Go for it. A guy also from Michigan area, you probably heard of him, Mitch Albom.
Yes.
And, he wrote the book Tuesdays with Maury based on
Hmm.
conversations with this older gentleman. And, it's all about the wisdom that older gentleman would impart and share in the stories of his
Yes.
journey. So, that became a best-selling book, right? About what,
Yes.
10 years ago? Yeah.
I
So
just, yeah, it doesn't, it kind of don't, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you still have something that you want to do or have a passion that you would love to, write that book, go on that trip, share, volunteer, read to the blind, do whatever it is that, just to make you feel good and keep you going. And so when you wake up every morning, think, okay, I've got another day. What can I do with it? What can I do that's good today?
yeah, I have a colleague. He's 78. He's got some health issues, but based on that, he had an eye-opening experience. He's on all kinds of meds now, right? And he doesn't
Mhm.
know like what med should go with what, and is it even working, and how does it work? So he's developing an like a cartoon series
Oh,
with pills, and each
okay.
pill has a character, right? And what do you do? It's like, and then it's so the pill has like a persona, and
Oh my goodness, that's funny. I love it.
it's geared to sort of helping elderly sort of be knowledgeable about the pills they're taking and what they're actually doing, and be mindful of not mixing certain medications.
That's
Right.
great.
Yeah. And he's 78. And you know what? It's giving him a little bit of life, right? Yeah.
If you're not living, you're dying.
Yeah. So live it up, right?
Live it up.
Pam Rossi, that was a nice way to end. I really thank you for this today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
It's been great. I really want to. I'm happy that you agreed, and I really want to thank you for being patient. You've been a great guest. Um, and to those listening to us and following us, 26 minutes with, and the deeper dive is a show that really is about inspiration. It's about those who are leading, making an impact, creating a positive change on the planet and locally. And next week, we're talking to a gentleman who's gone to the depths and come back out again. And we're going to be joined by a guy named Lewis, and he's got a couple of stories where he had a couple of dark night of the souls. We're going to talk about his journey.
Mhm.
Pam, I'm going to give this to you. How would you sign off and say goodbye if you were doing your radio show? So you could do the sign off and say goodbye.
Okay. That's very interesting. Thank you. Whenever I signed off, of course, the call letters and the name of the show. And I say, I'm Pam Rossi. Have a great day.
Ooh, I like that. All right. So there you go. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next week.